Hi, welcome to Pool Spa Fix It, our YouTube channel. Today we're working on a Pentair slash Stay Right Duraglass. The Duraglass pump is an older pump that's been around for a long time, very commonly used, especially in the area that we live in. So first thing we're going to do is we've already determined that the motor is bad and it needs to be replaced. Two things can make a motor bad: real bad bearings or shorted windings in the motor, other things like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to replace it with a new Pentair totally enclosed fan cooled motor that is a 1 horsepower model with a very high service factor. It makes it a full rated motor. So with the service factor of 1.65, this 1 horsepower motor is equivalent to almost a 2 horsepower motor. But more about that later. Right now we're going to take this apart and put that on here. So first thing we need to do is take off our diffuser. The diffuser is the part of the pump that pressurizes the water that the impeller sucks in from the volute or pump body assembly that's plumbed in front of this part here. So we have 5 screws that we're going to take off and remove this diffuser. And as we take off these parts, we're going to inspect them for abnormal wear or if they're just plain worn out. A lot of these pumps have parts that are worn out because, like I said, this pump has been in service, or this model of pump has been in service for a number of years. So we got this diffuser off, comes apart like that, and what we want to do is inspect the inside wear ring. That's usually a nice shiny wear ring that the impeller rides in, and this one is very bad. It's pitted and corroded, and this diffuser needs to be replaced. So we're going to set that aside. This is the impeller. The impeller is what sucks in the water from the pump half, and the diffuser is what pressurizes it and gets us our pressure from the pump. So we need to take the impeller off. So first thing we're going to do that is to take off the back half or end bell of the motor. On this particular motor, it's a real easy shot with a 7/16 inch wrench to go down inside of here and catch the end of the shaft. You can see that when I turn the impeller, I've got the wrench on the shaft. So now we just turn off the impeller like that. Sometimes you need a pair of channel locks depending on how tight it is. So once we get the impeller off, we're going to look for excessive wear on the eye and cracks along this built-in ferrule that's molded into this plastic part of the impeller. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to look for cupping on the impeller vanes. This one has some, but it's really okay, so we don't have to replace this. And there's only one major crack here that's not down into the meat of the impeller, so this impeller should be okay. So behind the impeller is 1/2 of the mechanical seal, and you can see it here. We use Viton seals because of the advent of saltwater pools. The Viton shaft seals will last longer than a regular Buna shaft seal, and that goes for Pentair, Stay Right, Hayward, Jandy, or any of those pump manufacturers. Replacement motors and internal workings are replacing with the Viton shaft seal. So we'll pull off the old half. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Take our wrench out And now we're going to get a 9/16 inch wrench. We got 4 bolts here that need to come out. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to take those out. Pretty easy if you do it with a speed wrench. I always use the end bell to hold parts, even if I'm going to reuse that on the motor if we fix one. It's a good thing to do so you don't lose your parts. Now this motor that we're going to refit on here is a 56 frame motor. This is a 48 frame motor, and that means that that frame on that motor is bigger than this one. So consequently, what we're going to do is we're going to modify the base. That's the stand that this motor sits on and is bolted through to, because if not, it won't fit properly. So that's the idea here, and we'll show you in just a minute what I'm talking about. Okay, so we got all 4 bolts out. We're going to take the seal plate off. We'll set that aside for right now. Okay, well, somebody has already modified this base for one reason or another, and I don't have to do it, so lucky me. So we're just going to put this in the scrap pile over here, and we'll take care of that later. Okay, so now what we have to do next is we have to get the other half of the shaft seal, which is this part. There's 2 parts to a shaft seal. This is the ceramic part, and this is the Bakelite part, and the 2 halves go together and prevent water from getting back into the motor. And I'll explain that here in just a minute. So we're going to pop the old one out. So this ceramic sits in a rubber cup. You could see that, and that goes in the seal plate. But the 2 pieces go together like this, and one is on the shaft and one is stationary in the seal plate. When this is spinning like that on the shaft, the 2 halves create friction and heat and keep the water from getting back into the motor by evaporation. So they get so hot as they're moving against each other that the water that tries to get around here into the motor is evaporated, and it can't do it. So that's how that works. So we're going to set that off to the side. Next thing we want to do is clean this up a little bit in here and get some of the, if there was a sealant or something like that that somebody put in on a prior motor replacement, we want to get all that out. Dirt, grime, and stuff like that will get in there and prevent you from having a good solid seal. So that's what we want. We want it to be a good solid seal. Now sometimes I use a pipe cleaner for PVC, and the reason I use that is because it'll clean up that grease and grime and evaporate completely, so there's nothing left in there to cause a problem. So we'll just go wipe this around in here some and get the grease and the grime out where the cup is supposed to go. And you can see there was quite a bit in there. So we'll put that back. If you have a little puff can of air, you can do that, or if you have a compressor, you can blow it out.